The Galactic Council had one unbreakable rule: never approach a Vrathcon cub. Their species, apex predators from the shattered world of Krelthar, were considered too dangerous, too unpredictable, too feral to coexist with civilized life. When a Vrathcon was abandoned, it stayed abandoned. That was the law, and for 300 cycles, no one had dared challenge it, until Captain Liana Cross found Korvac dying in the cargo hold of a derelict smuggler's ship. She'd been conducting a routine salvage operation near the Ashwick Nebula when her scanner detected the faint heat signature. Most captains would have sealed the hold and vented it into space. The creature inside was small, yes, but even juvenile Vrathcon possessed rows of crystalline fangs capable of shearing through reinforced steel. Their claws secreted a paralyzing venom. Their eyes could see in 16 different spectrums. They were born killers, and the galaxy had learned long ago that mercy toward them was suicide. Liana Cross had never been good at following rules. She found him curled in the corner, his obsidian scales dull and cracked from dehydration. His 6 eyes, normally luminescent with predatory intelligence, were glazed with pain. The cub couldn't have been more than 3 months old, barely the size of a large dog, but already his body was a masterpiece of evolutionary violence. His tail, tipped with a bone blade, twitched weakly. He should have attacked her on sight. Instead, he simply watched as she knelt beside him. "Easy," she whispered, extending her hand slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The cub's translator implant, crude, probably installed by the smugglers, crackled to life. His voice was a broken rasp. "Kill me better than this." Liana's jaw tightened. She'd seen cruelty across 100 worlds, but something about this moment cut deeper. "What's your name?" "Korvac." The cub's eyes dimmed further. "No one wants Korvac." She lifted him into her arms, ignoring every survival instinct screaming at her to run. "Well, Korvac, you're stuck with me now." The first month was chaos. Korvac didn't trust her. He'd been beaten by his captors, starved, conditioned to expect pain from every interaction. He refused to eat, convinced the food was poisoned. He attacked her twice, once leaving 3 parallel scars across her forearm that would never fully fade. But Liana had patience carved from years navigating hostile nebulas and broker negotiations with war criminals. She never raised her voice, never struck back. She simply stayed. Slowly, impossibly, the cub began to change. He started eating when she ate, mimicking her movements with cautious curiosity. He learned that her laughter wasn't a threat display. He discovered that humans could be gentle, even when they didn't have to be. And when nightmares woke him screaming in his native tongue, dreams of his pack abandoning him on that smuggler's ship, Liana would sit beside his sleeping pod and hum old Earth songs, until his breathing steadied. "Why?" he asked one night, his translator carrying genuine confusion. "I am Vrathcon. Your species fears mine." Liana looked up from her navigation charts. "Fear and hate aren't the same thing, kid. Besides, you're just a child. What kind of monster would I be if I abandoned you?" Korvac's 6 eyes studied her with an intensity that would have terrified most beings. But Liana saw past the predator's gaze to the lonely child beneath. "My own kind abandoned me," he said quietly. "They said I was weak, defective." "Then they were fools," Liana replied simply. "You're not defective. You're just different. And different can be extraordinary." 5 years passed. Korvac grew into a creature of nightmares. 9 feet of corded muscle, scales that could deflect plasma fire, reflexes faster than computer targeting systems. But he also grew into something the galaxy had never seen: a Vrathcon who understood mercy, who valued honor, who would rather negotiate than kill, though he was devastatingly capable of both. He flew alongside Liana, her co-pilot and protector. Together they built a reputation across the outer systems: the human captain who commanded the impossible, and the predator who chose compassion over conquest. They rescued colonists from pirate raids, evacuated refugees from collapsing stations, and once talked down a planetary governor from committing genocide by simply asking him to remember his children's names. The Empire whispered about them in fearful reverence, but it was during the siege of Valorian Prime that their legend was truly forged. A Krelith war fleet had surrounded the planet demanding surrender. 3 billion souls hung in the balance. The defense fleet was shattered, and the planetary shields would fail within hours. Captain Cross volunteered for a suicide mission, navigate through the siege line and disable the flagship's command nexus from inside. It was impossible. It was insane. It was exactly the kind of thing Liana Cross would do. Korvac stood beside her on the bridge, his tail blade gleaming. "If we die today," he said solemnly, "I die grateful. You gave me life when the universe wanted me dead. You showed me that strength and kindness can coexist." Liana smiled, that reckless grin that had started wars and ended them. "Who said anything about dying? We've got a planet to save." They breached the flagship's hull in a modified boarding pod. What followed became the stuff of legend. A human woman and a Vrathkon warrior fighting back-to-back through corridors of elite soldiers. Liana's tactical brilliance complemented Korvac's raw power perfectly. She'd call out enemy positions. He'd eliminate them with surgical precision. When she was cornered, his venomous claws cleared the path. When he was overwhelmed, her plasma pistol never missed. They reached the command nexus with minutes to spare. As the flagship systems cascaded into failure and the siege line collapsed, Admiral Theknor of the Krelith fleet demanded to know who had bested him. Liana's response echoed across every communication channel in the system. "Just a human who believes in second chances, and the son she chose to save."